What's going on, guys? Your boy Fluff here. Season 13 starts February 23rd. And a lot of you guys are asking for a Season 13 and Necromancer starter guide. And guess what? We're here to deliver. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, if you guys didn't know, Blizzard did officially announce the Season 13 starting sets. For the Necromancer, it's going to be the Grace of Inarius. And while this isn't going to be as powerful as, say, starting with Trag'oul or Rathma, it's definitely going to have no trouble jumping into T13 really early on. And we're going to show you guys how to get there. Now, of course, the number one tip, we're always going to say it ever since they implemented it, is save your challenge rift. Guys, save your challenge rift for the start of the season. Create your character, switch the game mode to challenge rift, start up the game, go through whatever challenge rift Blizzard has in store for you, finish the challenge rift, log on your seasonal character, the level 1 character, collect awards in the bottom left, and collect those rewards. Now for this season, we're going to recommend the build CorpseMancer. If you guys haven't checked out the CorpseMancer build, definitely go give it a look. It's a corpse explosion build, which is great because corpse explosion is a very gratifying skill. Now, what do you want to spend these challenge rift blood shards on? Now, normally I would recommend spending it on the Circle of Naluge Evil, which is, of course, the skeletal mage ring that will give you double mage casts and cause them to last an additional 4 seconds. But since we're actually going to gear for CorpseMancer right out of the gate, I'm going to recommend you actually roll on gloves to try and get the Grasp of Essence, which, as you guys know, when an exploded corpse damages at least one enemy, your corpse explosion damage is increased by up to 100% for 5 seconds, stacking 5 times. So they can give you a 500% damage modifier to corpse explosion as you level, plus you can immediately throw it in the cube when you hit level 70 as part of the CorpseMancer build. You also have a much higher chance of getting it than the ring, since gloves only cost 25, whereas jewelry costs 50. And as you guys can see, you know, rolling gloves at level 1, there's a decent chance to get the Grasp of Essence. Boom. After, you know, a handful of rolls, we get it. We get 2 of them, actually. Now, if you're lucky enough to get the Grasp of Essence pretty fast, you might as well start rolling the ring, Circle of Naluge Evil, because that's still the best way to get the circle, and you're gonna probably want it for some of the endgame builds. So even if you don't get it while you're level 1, you probably are gonna want to create a level 1 necro and come back to try to get the circle ring at some point in the season. But hopefully you're a very lucky person and you actually get both the gloves and the ring. Now, you might be confused as to why I would recommend the gloves instead of the ring. So as you guys know, the way Inarius works is it kind of puts in this swirling bone NATO around you. And the reason I don't recommend the ring over the gloves is because the mages, while they're very, very good, very, very powerful, you have to actually touch the mobs with your bone NATO for them to get the damage bonus. And mages, while you can control who they attack with the first cast, they're gonna kind of do whatever they want, and you're basically gonna have to run all over the screen to be efficient with pets in Inarius. So that's a big reason I don't recommend running pets with Inarius, and that's why I would definitely go for the gloves. I would try to get both, again, because you're gonna want to get that ring at some point. But if you're starting out, we're going for CorpseMancer. CorpseMancer is definitely going to be the most powerful right out of the box of all the Inarius builds. And it's probably the most powerful speed Inarius build, period. And now just to showcase how powerful it can be out of the box, assuming you get the right pieces in the right slot, you know, we'll be showing T13 footage above no main stat paragon, no other paragon, period, just movement speed. And what we've done is we've literally just rolled with the first piece of each slot that we've gotten. So, you know, our gear is pretty bad. We happen to get an ancient helmet. But again, this is all based on what we could possibly get at the start of the season. My weapon's pretty freaking bad. Offhand, pretty bad. Everything is just mediocre at best. Our gems are ranked 25 at the most. Our Bane the Powerful is level 100, but again, if you guys know how Bane the Powerful works, that doesn't matter what level it is, it's just the duration. And we're able to do GR 65, which is, you know, easy peasy T13. Now, one of the great things about Inarius is there's a lot you can do with it. Because of how the 6-piece damage modifier works, you've got a lot of freedom. And you'll see, you know, there's other Season 13 starter guides for the Necromancer out there, and some people, you know, recommend like the LazyMancer build. And LazyMancer can be good, but the problem with LazyMancer is it's going to require like level 80 plus gems to really pick up speed. And that's why I definitely wouldn't recommend LazyMancer out of the box. I obviously don't really like the LazyMancer build. It's a very unengaging, boring way to play in my eyes, but this is definitely a lot stronger than that out of the box. So now let's just assume you're level 70, You know, you've got aggressive essence in the cube because you rolled it at your level 1 character. Our next focus is to get a scythe. Now, just like any season that's probably ever going to happen on the Necro, we're going to be upgrading scythes right out of the gate. Upgrading scythes has such good value on the Necromancer. 2 of the 4 scythes are going to be pretty usable with Anarius right out of the gate. Obviously, we're after trag'oul's Corroded Fang, but if you get Scythe of the Cycle, you can use Death Nova, and it can be pretty powerful. You can throw either one in the cube and make a pretty decent climbing torment level Anarius build. Now, of course, this won't be quite as easy just to throw together like, say, BloodMage is. BloodMage is probably the best Necro starter build there is. And that's also something to keep in mind as you're gearing up CorpseMancer. If you start to get like the pieces that you really need for BloodMage, like just switch over because it's so OP starting out. But just for this, we're going to assume that our goal is CorpseMancer. So how do we get there as fast as we can? Again, we're upgrading scythes in the cube. Hopefully we get endgame to drop naturally. Upgrading swords in the cube isn't a great use of resource very, very early in the season. So hopefully you'll find one naturally, or someone in your group will have one, because you just need this guy in the cube as fast as possible. Now, if you don't get endgame in the cube, and say you have trag'oul's Corroded Fang, you also have like a Scythe of the Cycle. You can upgrade 2-hand scythes to try to get the Shadow Hook. Shadow Hook will be a pretty decent damage modifier until you can get your hands on an endgame. And through upgrading 2-hand scythes, you can also get Nair's Black Death. Again, another decent damage modifier to get as you're trying to get that endgame. And 2-hand scythes are, again, very easy to roll exactly what you need them to be. A good upgrade value in the cube. As far as blood shards are concerned, we're going to be going after the Golem Skin Breaches as fast as we can. I would say don't stop rolling legs until you get the Golem Skin Breaches. Obviously, this provides damage mitigation, but the more important thing is it provides cooldown reduction on your Flesh Golem, providing you with more corpses for your Corpse Explosion. In the CorpseMancer guide, we talk about how it's a it's a CDR dependent build. You're an elite sniper. You're flying from elite pack to elite pack, and the more CDR you can get, the better, which is absolutely true. But really, the only CDR you need is around like 30%, which is really just like shoulders, which is really easy to get cooldown on. A diamond in the helmet, no problem. And then maybe cooldown on your offhand. And that's really all you need to make this functional. At 30% CDR with the Golem Skin Breaches, and say you have endgame in a cube, you're basically just gonna have a 10-second cooldown on Flesh Golem, which is exactly what you need to kill elites, to snipe elites, no problem. So now let's say you've got the pants, you've got, at least trag'oul's Corroded Fang, assuming you have any Phylactery to do, they're just a stat stick. You want to roll cooldown on it, try to get that 30% CDR, because you're the Golem Skin like we just talked about. After that, I'd probably start rolling for Dainty's Binding. Very, very strong in the CorpseMancer build. Very, very strong in Anarius, especially with Aura of Frailty. It's such a good combination in Anarius because you're all about being in that melee range, because you have to be in that melee range to get that damage modifier. And being in melee range will affect them with the curse, and then the curse gives you toughness. And, the curse will instant kill them at 15% health, which is cool. Now, the thing that always feels slow with the Necro is getting the Necro Jewelry. There's a lot of Necro Jewelry that you really need, and it's always a little hard to get. One of the things you're going to want, as soon as you can, is to start doing Act 1 bounties to try to get the Ring of Royal Grandeur. This is so you can wear both the Golem Skin Breaches and the Grasp of Essence. A Unity is going to go a long way to increase your toughness, but something like a Lornell Sunstone would work. And of course, one of the really hard items to get for the Necro is the Crispin Sentence. It's basically a requirement for any Necro build ever, but just finding one you can cube is good enough. Hopefully you can get one that actually rolls well so you can wear it, but getting this to roll well is really, really hard. So basically, the first one you find, if it's not rolled well, throw it in the cube and keep it there pretty much indefinitely for quite a while. As far as necklaces go, you do want the Johnstone because you do need that macabre damage. It is pretty important early on, but something like a Wisdom Kalong would work just fine until you can get what you need. Now, you might be tempted to start upgrading rings early on to try to get the rings that you need, and unless you have like an ancient weapon, I wouldn't suggest doing that because it's not necessarily the best use of resource, and there's so many rings in the Necro loot pool. But say you get lucky early on, you have an ancient trag'oul's Corroded Fang, you've got the pants, you've got the belt, you've got a pair of Nemesis bracers. Maybe start looking at upgrading jewelry to get that Crispin Sentence. But Ring of Royal Grandeur isn't too bad to try to get. Unity isn't too bad to try to get, and Lornell's isn't too hard to find if you're playing in a group. That's pretty much it. As soon as you have the CorpseMancer gear, just the right gear in the right slot, doesn't even have to be rolled that well. Like I said, you know, maybe like a 30% minimum CDR, which again is so easy to get. Just diamond in the helmet, CDR on the shoulder, CDR on your offhand. Like, you'll get that no problem. And by the time you get all this together, you're definitely gonna be able to farm T13. You know, again, all of our Paragon is removed. Literally all of our Paragon is removed, and you guys can see above, we're flying through T13, no problem. GR65 anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes. Now, as you start to, you know, farm up higher and higher, you know, you might want to look at some of the other speed farm builds for the Necro. There's kind of a hierarchy, I'd say, with the Necromancer. Obviously, you know, CorpseMancer is what we're aiming for as fast as we can. If you can get BloodMage together along the way, that's just as powerful starting out. And then, you know, somewhere probably around the Paragon 600 range, you might start to get, you know, Singularity Speed together, and that's definitely going to be a lot more powerful than BloodMage or CorpseMancer. And then as you start approaching that, you know, Paragon 800, Paragon 1000 mark, you might start being able to put together Blight Spear. You know, Blight Spear, crazy high CDR requirement, but totally worth it once you get it together. And it's kind of the natural progression of the Necromancer, which is actually pretty nice because you get to play a lot of builds and sample a lot of different things. If you guys don't know what any of those builds are, you need to definitely get on my channel and check those builds out. We'll leave links in the description below. And you guys will notice once you get 6-piece Ananias together, you know, it's gonna feel a lot more fluid. That's kind of how Necro goes, is you really need 6-piece to really start taking things out, which doesn't take too long to get to. Now, of course, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please comment in the section below. You'll notice that we're somewhat prompt in getting back to you guys with the answers. If you guys have any questions about the Necro at the start of next season, definitely pop by the stream. Necromancer is our class. It is our juice. We know everything about it, so if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate. If you guys are going to go really ham on the Necro this season, I actually would recommend going back to check out my Season 12 starter guide, where we talk about gearing out BloodMage. And it's definitely easy, way easier to play starting out than the CorpseMancer. Of course, we can't say thank you enough to all our subscribers on Twitch, supporters on Patreon. You guys really help to keep the dream alive, keep us going, making these guides, streaming every day, and we love you dudes. As always, guys, like, subscribe, come over to Twitch, ask your questions. We love you guys. Peace out.